Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. It's Monday, October 5th. This is where I bring you the top headlines from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Thanks for choosing to be here to get filled in on what's impacting you here in Northeast Ohio. We start with breaking news. Just a little bit before 3 p.m., President Donald Trump tweeted that he will be leaving Walter Reed Medical Center today. He said he'll be leaving today at 6:30 p.m. and that he is, quote, feeling really good. He also said, quote, "We have developed under the Trump administration some really great drugs and knowledge. I feel better than I did 20 years ago." Earlier this afternoon, the White House released a statement from the president's doctor, Dr. Sean Conley, that said the fact of the matter is that he is doing really well. And then the doctor said that, as the team said, if everything continues to go well, we're going to start discharge planning back to the White House. So again, according to President Donald Trump, he is feeling really good and will be leaving Walter Reed Medical Center tonight at 6:30 p.m. President Donald Trump also tweeted this afternoon that the media was upset because he got into a secure vehicle to say thank you to many fans and supporters who were standing outside of the hospital for many hours and even days to pay their respect to the president. He went on to say that if he didn't do it, the media would say that he was rude. I just want to clarify here that it's the medical experts who are expressing concern over the fact that the president left the hospital, got into a vehicle with other people, not only concerned for his health for leaving the hospital when he's being treated for COVID-19, but also for the health of the people who were in the vehicle with him. And the media is reporting those concerns because, as you all know, we're not doctors. We are reporting what the doctors are saying. So just to clarify that point on what was tweeted by the president just before he announced that he will be leaving Walter Reed Medical Center today at 6:30 p.m. Now, speaking of COVID-19, let's turn to the numbers here in Ohio, which we have that new information from the Ohio Department of Health. New daily reported cases are up again in Ohio above 1,000, and deaths reported in the last 24 hours are in the single digits. Now, as we know, this number jumps around a lot. There was a huge number of reported deaths on Friday, but one day this weekend when there were actually 0 new deaths reported here in Ohio. So let's break those numbers down. The total number of new reported COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours in Ohio is now 1,057. That's up from Sunday when there were 941 new cases of COVID-19 reported. That brings the total number of cases we've seen here in Ohio to just under 160,000. Again, that dates back to March 9th, so that's accounting for every single positive case of COVID-19 that we are aware of here in Ohio. Our average testing positivity rate is at 3.2% over the last 7 days. So for all the COVID-19 tests being done in Ohio over the last week, 3.2% are now coming back positive. Again, that's below that World Health Organization threshold. However, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's leading infectious disease expert, says where we really want to be is at least in that 1% range, and that's what we are really trying to move towards as a country. Now, in the last 24 hours here in Ohio, there have been 6 new reported deaths related to COVID-19. On Sunday, there were no new reported deaths, which is a number we've not seen in quite some time. So that's good news on its face. However, we have to look at the way these numbers bounce back and forth because on Friday, there were 88 new reported deaths. There is a delay in the reporting of new deaths. So keep in mind that doesn't mean there were 6 new deaths in the last 24 hours, but they've just been reported to the Ohio Department of Health, bringing that total number of deaths that we've seen here in Ohio to 4,931, getting very close to 5,000 here in Ohio. Now, in the last 24 hours, there have been 73 new hospitalizations related to COVID-19, and there are currently 663 people that are in the hospital in Ohio being treated for COVID-19. Of those 663 COVID-19 patients, 210 of them are in the intensive care unit. So that's about 1/3 of all active hospitalizations. That's something that we've seen remain pretty steady, about 1/3 of those active COVID-19 hospitalizations being treated in the ICU. In the last 24 hours, there have been 11 new admissions to the ICU, and our statewide hospital bed occupancy rate is at about 73%. So about 21% of our hospital beds are available for people who need that treatment. Now let's take a look at the U.S. and global numbers for COVID-19. These numbers come from Johns Hopkins University. Here in the U.S., now, President Donald Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, and many people within his circle are included in this number. The total number of cases reported of COVID-19 in the U.S. is now at 7,433,828. The total number of deaths now reported in the U.S. is at 209,928. Now, as a reminder, we have just over 4% of the world's population here in the U.S., but as a country, we have 20% of the known global deaths related to COVID-19 and 21% of the known global cases of COVID-19. Globally, that number of reported cases is now at 314,104, and the total number of deaths is now at 1,038,797, a big increase there from when we saw that number hit 1 million for the first time last week. Now, we do have an update on the injury sustained by Nick Chubb on the Cleveland Browns in yesterday's game. That was in the middle of the Browns win early in the game. The Browns ended up going on to beat the Dallas Cowboys 49-38, and we've got some tough news for star running back Nick Chubb. Head coach Kevin Stefanski said today that he will be on injured reserve and will miss several weeks with an MCL injury. So that happened in the second quarter when Chubb got rolled up while he was blocking for quarterback Baker Mayfield on a passing play. If you're watching it, you saw him lay on the ground there. He was grabbing at his foot. He was pulling his glove off with his teeth. It was obvious that he was in pain, but Chubb did eventually get up on his own and walk off the field under his own power before heading back to the locker room for the rest of the game. Now, after that, of course, we saw running back Kareem Hunt come in and some faces that we haven't seen a lot of. Cleveland still managed to rush for over 300 yards against the Cowboys. D'Ernest Johnson led the Browns with 95 yards. So without Chubb in the lineup for the next several weeks, of course, we'll see Hunt more. He'll be taking over as Cleveland's starting running back, but Johnson and Dontrell Hilliard are expected to step up as well. Now, with Chubb being on the injured reserve list, he's guaranteed to miss at least 3 games. Now, Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network says that Chubb will most likely miss 6 weeks. He's expected to be out for 6 weeks. That is including Cleveland's bye week, and will likely return to the Browns lineup in November. Now, when we talk about what happened on Sunday in the win over the Cowboys, Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield was asked to compare it to week 4 of the 2019 season, because in week 4 of the 2019 season, the Browns beat the Baltimore Ravens in a pretty big way, but Baker shut that down very quickly when he was asked about it. He said, "This doesn't feel like last year one bit. We're going to continue to improve, and we're on to the second quarter of the year." So last year in 2019, the Browns beat the Ravens 40-25, but then the Browns went on to lose 4 games in a row. So after that, the record fell 2 wins to 6 losses for the season. It does feel like a different situation right now, especially when you look at the fact that we are 3-1, 3 wins and 1 loss, and that's the first time we've had a starting record that good since 2001. Baker Mayfield, on the Fox broadcast, asked if he knew when the last time the Browns started a season 3-1 was, and he says, "No, I don't, and I don't really care. It's 2020, and we're moving on to the next one." Well, before we move on to the next one, let's just recap a couple of those big moments from the game. First, very early in the game, there was that Jarvis Landry touchdown pass, and a surprising play to Odell Beckham Jr. in the end zone. That was incredible. Then to end the game, so starting the game with a big move, ending the game with a big move, there was that 50-yard run from Odell Beckham Jr. to really clinch it in the fourth with that final touchdown. Here's what Baker Mayfield had to say about the overall performance on Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys. He says, "We can score points when we need to. Like we keep saying, establishing that run game, creating one-on-ones in the outside and the play action game when we need to throw it. We just need to be efficient." He says he thought they could have been a little bit better on some of those third downs, and he could have been a little bit better distributing the ball and finding completions. But he also said We're learning that we're efficient when we need to be. We just have to be more consistent. And he thinks that's the biggest takeaway from Sunday, that they scored a lot of points, but they left a lot out there. And he truly believes that. So anytime you see the Cleveland Browns scoring 49 points and your quarterback talking about leaving some of it out there, that feels like a pretty good sign for the future. I know I am cautiously optimistic, as I often am anyway, but very much looking forward to see what happens in the next couple of weeks, and wishing Nick Chubb a speedy recovery, because I always feel good when I see Nick Chubb get the ball. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I love. That's what I love to see, and can't wait to get him back in there in November. I'm sure we'll be in good shape, though, between now and then with some of those other players coming in. One more thing for you to know about here. The LeBron James Family Foundation is going to be hosting something called the I Promise Huddle, and this is going to be a focus on community change. This will be a reoccurring forum. So the first one is happening this week. It's happening Tuesday through Thursday, October 6th through 8th. And the mission here is to bring together diverse perspectives and opposing viewpoints to share learnings and best practices, ask hard questions, and also highlight solutions. So the goal is to dramatically improve communities, systems, and education for all students and families. The huddle that's happening this week will feature science and health scholars, business leaders, educators, advocates, investors, philanthropists, students, and youth activists as they're having these different discussions. Here's a few of the things that will be talked about and some of the people who will be involved. There'll be an in-depth look about what it means to be color brave with Melody Hobson, who is the co-CEO and president of Ariel Investments. There will also be a student-driven town hall with youth activists from across the nation, including student activists, so taking this beyond the Akron and Northeast Ohio area. There will also be an intimate conversation with the I Promise school principal, Brandy Davis, and an I Promise family about the trauma of American poverty and how it really presents a barrier for learning, and also a conversation with Rajiv Vinakota, who is president of the Woodrow Wilson Foundation, about the importance of engaging young people in civic learning to address community's biggest challenge. So getting the young people involved at an early stage to really figure out what is happening in their communities and what they can do in order to make an impact there. The executive director of the LeBron James Family Foundation, who is Michelle Campbell, said that the goal here is to create real change. In order to do that, they must have an open and honest dialogue about what is actually happening and model actionable ways to fix these issues. So having a conversation and bringing people into the fold who can really show people actionable ways to work on these issues that are impacting so many people, not only in Northeast Ohio, but also around the country. And with that in mind, here is your reminder that today is the last day to register to vote in Ohio. Check your registration status. Make sure you're good to go. You can do that in person at your Board of Elections, or you can do it online. I've tweeted out that link. My Twitter handle is _Stephanie Haney, so you can check that out. We've also got information on WKYC.com and the WKYC app. Today is a great day to check in with your family, friends, and followers and make sure that they are registered to vote and that their status is up to date, particularly if you've moved recently, something you need to keep in mind. That's it for your 3 News Now afternoon update for Monday, October 5th. I'll see you next up on What's New at 5 p.m. with your trending stories in the Clicking in Cleveland segment, which you can watch for free live on the WKYC app. Just open up the app and tap watch at the bottom of the screen, and then you'll be able to see the live broadcasts right there. Everyone have a great afternoon. Enjoy your evening. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Stay safe and be well. I'm Stephanie Haney.